E, 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 E. We will be reading from the writings of Rush, Letters Letter 34. You can find all of our texts on Kabbalah Media Info as well as through the OT platform. Anyone asking a question here in the study hall is requested to stand up, hold the microphone close to his mouth and speak loudly and clearly. Letter 34 to the friends, may they live forever after I have come close to you. In the imaginary corporeal place, let us hope to bring the hearts closer, as for a long time now we have not had correspondence, and the physical act brings unity, as it is said in the our prayer quote, and they shall all become one society, unquote, in that state it will be easier, quote, to do your will wholeheartedly. And quest this is so, because while there is not just one society, it is difficult to work wholeheartedly. Instead, a part of the heart remains for its own benefit, and not for the benefit of their Creator. He said about it in You stand today as the day at times shines, and at times darkens, so it is with you. When it is dark for you, the light of the world will shine for you, as it is said, quote, and the Lord shall be unto you an everlasting light, unquote, when you're all one society, as it is written, quote, alive, every one of you this day, unquote. Usually if someone takes a pile of branches, can he break them all at once? But if taken one at a time, even a baby can break them. Similarly, you find that Israel will not be redeemed until they are all one society, as it is said in those days and at that time, says the Lord, the children of Israel shall come, they and the sons of Judah, together. Thus when they are united, they receive the face of divinity. I presented the words of the so that you don't think that the issue of a group, which is the love of friends, relates to Hasidism. Rather, it is the teaching of our sages who saw how necessary the uniting of the hearts is into a single group for the reception of the face of divinity. Although there is always one of the friends who stands out and yells, join your hands for a single group, and always attributes the negligence to the friends, I still cannot exclude him from among the friends who are negligent in the matter, and this should suffice for the understanding. Primarily, let us hope that in the new year that the Creator will give us eternal life, as it is written, quote, for God has appointed me another seed instead of Abel, unquote, and may you live shall come. True, the meaning of the Jewish New Year's Eve is a new beginning. When a person begins to build a new structure, it is as our sages said, quote, one should always consider oneself half sinful, half righteous. If he performs a single mitzvah commandment, happy is he, for he has sentenced himself and the whole world to the side of merit. If he commits one transgression, woe unto him, for he has sentenced himself and the whole world to the side of fault. We should understand what it means that one should always consider oneself. 5050. 1. If he performs one commandment and sentences to the side of merit, how can he be said to be 50/50? Again, half and half. After all, he has already sentenced and already has a majority of merits. Conversely, if he committed one transgression, how can it later be said that he is half and half? 2. How can it be said that he is half and half when one knows about himself that he is full of sins and transgressions? At the same time, one is compelled to confess, quote, we are guilty, we have betrayed, and for the sin unquote. The thing is that our sages are letting us understand the order of the work. There is no issue of a court and judgments above. Here only when one comes before the court above are his transgressions and merits. Wait, brother, here our sages are teaching us that one should always begin the work and choose the good and loathe the bad. This is so because choice is pertinent precisely in something that is half and half, for then he has the power to choose. But when one of the sides already has same majority, he can no longer decide, because man follows the maturity, then it is irrelevant to speak of choice. This brings up the question, how can he deceive himself and say that he is half and half, when in fact he knows that he is full of sins? However, we should know that the matter of choice that one is given is permanent and always existing, as in quote, he who is greater than his friend, his inclination is greater than him, and quote, according to this rule, if one has many sins, then he has a small inclination which is not greater than their good inclination, but is precisely half and half, so he will be able to decide. And since the transgressions come through the evil inclination and the commandments come through the good inclination, as Sashi interpreted, quote, you have created righteous ones through the good inclination, you have created the wicked through the evil inclination, unquote. Hence our sages said, quote, one should always consider oneself half sinful and half righteous, unquote. In other words, regarding the choice, it is always, and if the transgressions are from, then the evil inclination diminishes, thus he is half and half. Similarly, if one performs a single commandment and has already sentenced to the side of merit, he is promptly given greater evil inclination, as it is written, quote, he who is greater than his friend, his inclination is greater, unquote. Thus now he is half and half, so he will be able to sentence to the side of merit. Therefore, on one begins one's work anew. Additionally, the days of the 10 penitential days are called days of forgiving and atonement of sins, so a man will have every opportunity to join in the work of the Creator once more, even though he's been so remote from the work. And the essence of the work is prayer, since only by prayer can one exit the public domain and enter the domain of the single one. This is so because when it comes to prayers, great and small are equal. Moreover, one who feels one's loneliness can offer a more genuine prayer from the bottom of their heart, for he knows about himself that he cannot deliver himself from the strait on his own. He can say that actually those who are created with special talents and qualities of subtlety can do something on their own, whereas those without the special gifts and good qualities need heaven's mercy to each. Only this person can offer an honest prayer. However, one should be careful not to flee the battle God forbids, since it is the conduct of the inclination that where one can offer a true prayer, it brings him sparks of despair and provides him with evidence, conclusions and inferences that his prayer will be useless. Finally, a person becomes incapable of believing in, quote, for you hear the prayer of every mouth. Our sages said, quote, the Creator longs for the prayer of the righteous. This is so because a prayer is the primary tool for the inspiration of death, because it is considered a prayer for the poor, and prayer applies even to the greatest of their greatest. Without it one cannot achieve a state of standing in the work. This is the meaning of, quote, for the poor shall never cease from the land, unquote. We should understand why the Creator promised us this, that it is necessary to always have the poor. Wouldn't it be better if there was no such thing in Israel? However, in the above interpretation, poor means a place for prayer, and if there is no place of deficiency, there is no place for prayer. Thus is there no place for prayer. Once one is rewarded with greatness. In that regard, the Creator promises us, quote, the poor shall never cease, unquote, meaning that there will always be a place where it is possible to find a need, so that one can rise to a higher degree. This is the meaning of, quote, poverty befits Israel like a red strap for a white horse, unquote. This means that even if one is already a Jew in utter greatness, still poverty is befitting, for it is a place of deficiency, so that he will be able to offer prayer. This is the issue presented in the quote said to her, when you go up there, give my greeting to my brother in the presence of the whole group, for he is a great man and rejoices in the commandments. Once he succeeded in joining redemption with prayer, and a smile did not leave his lips the whole day. In other words, his being a great man is when he is already in a state of redemption, redeemed from all deficiencies, with nothing more to do in that state. He has work finding some faults in himself so as to pray for it, and when he was joining redemption with prayer, he promptly found a place for prayer and had endless joy. As it is written, quote, "For the poor shall never cease from the land." And not it follows from all the above that the most important thing is the prayer. Be strong in prayer and believe in, quote, "You hear the prayer of every mouth. May we be inscribed in the book of life." Your friend, Shalom, son of An, to thank you. Half of how do we truly decide the whole system to the side of merit every day? We see that prayer is very important here, but how actually do we decide things through prayer? It probably passes through the connection between us, and then each one will have the force to raise the prayer. So from a collective lack, from this mutual lack, yes, now half and half, that's regarding free choice. Right, that's what I feel unless I'm mistaken. So what is actually the free choice, where I can always come as I feel? From the article in the prayer before the prayer, the Creator gives us these two lines, right? We have the left line and the right line, and we can always come and decide between them so as to establish the middle line between us. And the question is, what is this decision where every time I come to decide towards love and bestow, how by that do I influence the whole system? Because the system already exists, the connection between us exists already, so the more you accept it upon yourself, you can actually influence everything. Can I ask another question? What is redemption about? He said that the people of Israel need to be redeemed, that the Creator needs to redeem us from what we're supposed to come and always choose the positive. So what is the redemption about? It's that we feel ourselves belonging to shattered vessels, and we have to unite ourselves. That's basically the reason why we need redemption. That's essentially the foundation of what we call repentance, that we go back to the Creator. We ask and demand and beg each and everyone as much as he attains his level of distance from the Creator, from the ever force. And can this be attributed to the prayer of the righteous? Of course, because they're all on a degree or a state of the wicked. That's how the Creator sets up the beginning of our prayer. So when we come to prayer in advance, we will let the Creator justify us, right? Yes. More. Yes, his prayer. Pistol prayer is not bestow, however. Through prayer, we come to forces of bestow. Yes, personally, a person seemingly ans himself, he wants to be the way the Creator wants him to be. He gives everything he can, all his self-love, and he asks for what the Creator wants. So in those terms, should a person enjoy the fact that he's praying and that the Creator enjoys it also, and not wait for the outcomes and result to receive a reward and answer right now, but rather to enjoy the fact that the Creator enjoys the prayer? No, yes, he writes that in order to offer a true prayer, a person needs to be in a state of being poor, right, with a big lack. So I wanted to ask how this connects to the sentence that goes that the prayer the Creator wants the prayer of the righteous. So is that, how does that relate to person feeling himself poor? And so on, one who wants to be a righteous is called a righteous. That's how is explained to us. And so people who wish to be righteous, who wish to justify the Creator, they probably discover they're still not capable of that, and to their prayer the Creator expects and longs for more. No, prayer is something that accumulates, a force that a person gathers and accumulates. One should always be investigating himself. Who am I? What am I? And so forth. And out of that come to a state where he wants to transcend, where he sees himself to what he thinks he should be in terms of attitude to the Creator, what he thinks should be what he understands himself, what he understands, of course. Who are we talking about? What are we talking about, right? But does it depend Also on external actions, the quantity of their actions, a quantity of actions. I'm not sure, I don't know that, but clearly the quality of the actions. Yes, thank you. Can David? Yes. David, thank you. So I noticed recently that we used to have this guidance to formulate collective prayer in the 10. Every day we try doing that, but I see that it's becoming difficult and we're not doing it anymore. We do other things, other work, but actually turning to the Creator from the heart collectively together, it happens less and less, and I try to find why it seems it's becoming more painful to turn to the Creator, because there's no response, seemingly no reply, and there's some pain in performing that action. So first of all, why does that happen, that we turn to the Creator for months, years, trying to formulate our prayers together, and we weaken in that? Why does that happen? Because we discovered that each one exists in his own pit. It's difficult for one to see the connection between him and his friend. It's difficult to put them together and to see that they complement each other. That is very difficult. We also don't truly understand how it needs to be. So what acts between us? What is that force, that phenomenon, the phenomena that appears between us in the prayer, that distances us from one another and also distances the prayer from us over time? The will to receive that grows within us is what gives volume to each and every detail, and by that we grow apart, and simply if we don't maintain that as the center of the work, then it causes remoteness to the point that we see we cannot overcome it. Do we see it at some stage that it'll happen to us, or do we need to continue making an effort to build that prayer nonetheless, or it will? Oh, we have to, and it used to be that we would build the prayer every day until for some reason we left it. Yeah. Okay, so let's say that now we get this new importance for the matter. What will allow us to not fall from that importance? What will help us persist with the prayer throughout our entire lives? We have to take it as a law, as a commitment that we have to try every day, even mechanically, to study our state and put together that state of all of us to one. That is something we need to start doing, and then very quickly we begin to feel that this contains all the deficiencies and the tendencies that we can make a connection between us. Just one more thing, because from the answers, love, I feel the problem accurately. So a feeling of loneliness accumulates, which prevents a person from returning to this every time we need to build the prayer, especially together. A person's loneliness is felt, and to keep renewing it without advancing it really repels you. Well, anyway, thanks. We're going to have to overcome that. It all depends on the example that each one wants to communicate to others, and then from such examples we'll see how the field between us is a field of blessing. He also writes here that when one can give true prayer, offer true prayer, then one receives sparks of despair. Now, within reason, we don't see direct results from the prayer, so exactly here comes the question, so as not to come to despair. Hi Kate, and I know I prayed, maybe I just thought for a moment or read something and it wasn't actual prayer. So if I don't see a direct result, how do I know that a prayer was issued? Just like we see that the people of the great Neset set up for us, that we have to start every day from a prayer, from thanking the Creator for his attitude in the past, and also probably for now what he does and prepares for us, and also for the future. We have to try to really connect to him in past, present, and future, so that only he governs us and brings us the need to pray. So for example, to take those type of words and to make sure I do it a few times a day, every hour. What's the quantity to make sure that I exist in these words and I hold on to them, but I'm looking for like the correct dosage every half hour, every hour. No, like the people of the great can set up for us 3 times a day, so to calibrate myself 3 times a day towards that matter, and if I add more, then good, but at least to make sure that I did that. To add to that is Not worthwhile, but to really adhere to that and qualitatively how to make sure you did it right, and that I didn't just blar. I think that I have to feel at the bottom of my heart that I'm doing it seriously, that each time it'll be with greater pressure. That's it. Pray we in the 10 have habits almost every day. Each person offers a sentence, and there's someone responsible for gathering them, composing it, and I look every day at that little short prayer and doing but thinking about the friends and the connection. Even for a little time, for me it really brings you into the states of the friends, into the lesson, everything, not every time everyone succeeds, and me personally also. It doesn't happen every day, but some always offer those little sentences, and great power is created. They're okay. We will dedicate some attention to it. Also regarding the prayer, when we read the text is there's such huge gratitude, and we praise the Creator, or we feel such great loneliness of the self, and sometimes it pains me so that I lose the intention entirely, and I'm not in either thing right. It really burns. How to relate to that, how to aim correctly, I don't know. I think that we just have to keep going, do what to grab hold of the friends and say, we're doing this together, and we'll advance there, yes. Because it's felt how these texts are so sublime, okay, until you'll get used to some of them, and you'll go deeper into other parts, and ultimately, you'll find yourself there. Thank you. Yes, continuing the questions of the friends, is it possible to develop a habit of inner prayer to the Creator? Yes, certainly possible, and that's how it happens in some aspect of the prayer, and we have to each time make sure that we raise ourselves above this habit with an intention to contact the Creator each and every day with a new force. Despite having many sins, many lacks, deficiencies, and evil inclination, doesn't really allow us to pray. It only brings about despair. How do we overcome that through prayer, and how do we add to their prayer? I think that alone it's impossible, because a person could stay immersed in the unpleasant revelations that, however, along with the friends he can do it, each one completes the others, whether in a negative state or a positive state, but ultimately they'll have a more or less complete prayer. How to receive an example of prayer from the friends? It's inner work, a true prayer, not just each one adding a nice flowery sentence, but actual inner prayer. An inner example of prayer. I don't think that's already something that is within our reach. We can do but to long for reaching a state where we truly expect, a state where the hearts unite, the intentions, the thoughts, and we'll get gradually closer to compressing the circle in such a way that we feel the friends more and more. In the words of the sages of Theat, where do I find myself in their words? You can find it in any sentence. It depends on what they truly meant and what you truly mean. It's their prayer, it's their attainment. Where am I in this? You are outside their whole circle, and you want to get closer to them. Do I need to make my prayer resemble theirs? Yes, that too. One last question. When he writes here in the beginning of the letter that the physical acts bring about unity, what does it mean? That we do all kinds of actions, corporeal actions, in order to get closer, in order to get to a state where we hug each other and stand in a circle, and from within our circle we turn to the Creator, we ask, we demand. All of that is very influential. Yes, when we read the Sido together, the prayer book, we take upon ourselves to pray a single prayer which is for everyone. Right together, how in the connection between us in the 10 can we reach a single prayer through our hearts to find something that's common to everyone, that everyone accepts. Also through the text, the people of the great synagogue, they were knowledgeable, understanding all of us and our connection and all that we can and cannot do, and that's why they composed and turned to us with their prayers. We need to connect to the source of the prayer of their People of the Knesset, the great assembly of Israel, or does each one need to bring what he feels, and out of that try to assemble something? Know what we have written in the prayer book is what we need to say every day, and that's what we need to get closer to. So we need to find within ourselves the ability to resemble the prayer we read as much as possible. Okay. Yes, to discover it. Thank you. I want to understand I's advice. Maybe something needs to be changed here. So here's the daily schedule of a member of. Right after the lesson, we hold a prayer. Together, we read from the prayer book. Afterwards, each 10 summarizes the lesson and they compose their own prayers. Now 12, we have the afternoon lesson. At 1, we have the global prayer. At 5:30, we read Tess. At 7:30, we read Zohar, and the middle between that sometimes each 10 meets at least once for quarter an hour, half an hour. So we get together for about 7 times, and out of that we only read the writings of the people of the great assembly once. Only after the morning lesson does that need to change. Do we need to read again, or to add is not possible. It's already too much the way you said it. If there's a group who's doing all of those things, that's a lot. So now 1 time out of these 7, 8 meetings, we read from the writings of the sages of the great assembly. Do we need to change something? Maybe do it also in the evening instead of something else. No, this is quite enough. Okay, what are we doing next? Holland. Good morning, dear. Our morning, what does it say? Let's say in the article to be precisely 5050, so he will be able to decide. I don't know, I'm confused right now. What's written there's a lot about being half and half. You have to understand what it means that forever one should appear to himself as being half and half. So C is asking what is the matter of half and half, which will bring a person to the decision. It's a problem if it's half and half. Then how can a person decide? Seemingly there's no solution. What is one? What does it, let's say, to bring ourselves in a state of half to be able to choose what sort of prayer is needed from us? Bring us in that state. It depends on our vessels, the extent to which we can arrange our attitude to what's happening to us so that it's half and half. That is not a simple state. I would even say very difficult. What is special about this, the state of half? That you can't decide, that you can't, or that you can decide. You can't decide. It says in the article that it's the point of choice. So can you elaborate on that? Start and see. You'll start and see. It'll 1. Luigi is asking, what do we need to do when we see that our prayer is not being answered by the Creator? Do we need to imagine to ourselves that the Creator received it, or do we need to alter the way in which we pray? Say it again. What do we need to do when we feel the Creator isn't accepting our prayer? Does it mean that we need to nevertheless imagine to ourselves that the prayer was accepted, or do we need to alter the way in which we pray, change ourselves, look for how to be closer to the Creator and pass on to Him our requests in a deeper, more internal way? Key of 1. It's written in the article that the prayer is the main instrument by which to discover divinity. So how do we turn the prayer to the place where we discover the divinity? We have to pray for the meaning that in our prayer we have set up the place for where she needs to be in the way she needs to be, and then we, as a result of the prayer, we discover that actually has to be in connection with us. If I understood you correctly, you said that with the prayer we need to build the general state of the tent. Right, so we have your advice to read the written prayer from the prayer book, and on the other hand also we can express the private state of the tent. So what do we add something of our own from the 10, or do we just focus on the prepared prayer from the prayer book? The prayers that we can find in the prayer book are the prayers that were prepared and left for us by the sages of the great synagogue. They knew what it's about to the very depth of each and every prayer. Now we don't have to be at the same state of adhesion between us and with the Creator, but every day we have to know that this is what we aspire to and what we long for, and then from our efforts, from our collective efforts, we'll begin to Feel that we indeed get closer to it every day, and that is a wonderful sensation that we can get closer to the Creator and feel what He thinks about our prayer turkey. 5. If a person is looking to find the Creator with every act, does it mean that he is in prayer the whole day? Through repeat, please again, say it again. Please, if a person is trying to find the Creator with every action of his, does it mean that he is in the prayer the whole day? Through yes, you could say yes, you could say so. Of course, there are many other aspects, additional aspects here. But that's already good. MK 33 question about the article. It's written that when one is standing before redemption, he needs to look for new lacks. Yes, he should try that. UK1. A rev previously, you recommended for us to stay in a constant dialogue with the Creator, a constant inner dialogue. How do we turn this inner dialogue into a prayer? We have to reach equivalence, identification, adhesion with the Creator without any limitations, any boundaries, and so forth. Therefore, we have to check that every day, check our connection with the Creator, and through what qualities or changes of qualities we can further adhere to Him and pray for that turkey to thank you. D. Where is the Creator in the prayer? And in what frequency can we coexist? The Creator is at the center of our prayer, whether we like it or not. He's there all the time, and by each of us praying and discovering or want to discover the Creator at the center of His prayer, or our prayer, then by that we get closer to the Creator more and more until we begin to discover and feel Him more, and thus He becomes one for all of us. Turkey 4. Good morning. Of if a person feels the Creator clothing in his pride, if one has fear wanting to defend the glory of their Creator, how can a person defend the honor and glory of the Creator from his own evil? It's possible you're actually asking about very complex signs, indications. It's that we wish to turn to their Creator according to the closest degree to Him, and through that we're actually shown how we get close to, we're getting close to a unique state. Yes, woman turkey. 7. Women turkey 7. It's B. For hello Robin friends, it's written in the matter of prayer has to do with greatness, since otherwise a person comes to standing in the work. What is the state of standing in the work? We will scrutinize this. It's a good question, but we didn't learn about the state to which the prayer is divided. You're right. It is written in the article that the intention, even though he is unique in greatness, it's nevertheless a matter of a deficiency for him to be able to put forth a prayer. So he's asking, how can a person who's ready in great up, how does he still need prayer? At that point, the greater he is, the closer he is to the Creator, and he has more responsibility how to approach Him, even more how to deliver deficiencies from the group to the Creator, how to receive a response from the Creator and pass it back down to the group of friends. So he who is greater than his friend has more work, much more responsibility. Sometimes there's a great lack in the heart, and it's really a desire to pray from the depth of the heart, but life today is so flooded with, it's overwhelming. There's so much and too much, and I can't manage to. It's dispersed and can't even start from the excess load that's has to do with the time. Our time is like that. What's the recommendation? Kind of like to hold on to it and aim. So it's like grabbing and holding on to getting the grip on a wild horse. And it's a good deficiency. How do you put all the emotions in it? Yes, it's a good deficiency, but I don't think our work has to be any different than what it was in all other times. We need to come closer to the Creator and try to deliver to Him the deficiency of the friends, and to detect His deficiency relative to us. And how do we connect in order to realize His deficiency? In short, I said nothing, but we need to work according to the times. And I also want to ask about the prayer of the members of the Great Assembly and our prayer. There are 3 worlds We're trying to connect to one world. Maybe the prayer of the Great Assembly seems like a complete, perfect form, truly like Torah, which comes down from whoever reads it knows that no matter what he says, however he thinks, whatever he will ever feel, he'll never be able to do it any other way or better than that. That's like the optimal whole state, as much as a person's capable of understanding matters. Yes, there's the articles and the writings of Basim and Rash, which is what we live and breathe daily, and they detail what we're going to go through, think, etc., and all kinds of things of that manner. And then there's what other is in a 10, and each 10 of course does it in their own way. We're trying to raise together to the Creator, whether we understand more or less how do these three things, it's clear that they have to become one thing. But how do these three things, what is the relationship between these three things, between the prayer that we as Satan raise, which is usually a result of the lesson and what we've been through the words of the hour, and then there's suddenly this exalted thing called the prayer of the Great Assembly. A gap is clear, but how do we create some connection between things, between this and that, between this most exalted matter and where we are? I think that if overall we're trying to be connected and climb from one state to the next, as you're saying, then we'll be able to do it. Is there a way to try to connect between the personal prayer of every 10 and the words of the Great Assembly, prayers, to try to create a concession between these things, to create a force, or simply read it to read? We're reading, and also probably each in his way is trying to and is aiming in his way. Is there any way to somehow bring these two closer? Only things to try and be together. There's nothing more. They give us TR complete recommendations. Thank you. A question from the team in North America. As a result of your advice, they organized the text that we read here in English, and they're all gathering after the lesson together, reading these texts, and there's a great impression from it. Friends really love it. There's high participation, 130 participants in the Zoom each time, and from that also they have these constant questions that are rising and that are being sent to them. Now there are many questions, but the main point that's rising is it's not clear to them whether they need to do a separate Zoom of men and women, or is it okay for them to all do it together, because simply also in the physical prayer in the synagogue there's the men's side and the women's side, but there's like one space. And there's also those who say that on one hand the big quantity of people is impressive, on the other hand there's people, I see a face of a woman and it takes me out of my intention. So what they're asking, what's correct? That it's good to say that we prefer in the prayer to have men and women separately during the prayer. It's more serious, it distinguishes between them, and it's easier for each one to aim themselves at the purpose of creation, the purpose of the prayer. Wonderful. Thank you. With the coarseness and heaviness today, it's much greater than ever in history. What does the Creator really demand, or what does he need from us through the prayer in order to be closer to him, that we will connect more also both between us and to those words that we see in the prayer, and try to raise ourselves using those words to a state where we would be connected between us and with the Creator. There aren't any new prayers for each and every period that belong to a specific period of time, where their deficiencies are the same deficiencies, the means are the same means, and we need to see in it our work. Okay, Spain, woman, Spain. Question from our 10. If the Creator hears the prayer of many, are we talking about quality or quantity of what's in the heart? Both. There isn't a prayer that is entirely focused on quantity or quality. It's both. Did we understand correctly that? According to your advice, also the afternoon lesson also. Now at 5 we can read. Who's in charge of that? Here she's asking you, do you recommend for us to read or in place of the study of 10 that we're reading? I can't say, it depends on who. Mean is now at 5 a.m. when there will be a prayer in the center of the men. Do we, the women, in the AR system, should we open and read? Did we understand you correctly? Again, I'm repeating after her. at 5:45 when the men integrate here and read the words of the Great Assembly prayers. Is it appropriate for the women to read like you recommended yesterday in the afternoon lesson? I think yes. I'll speak may not if they don't understand the prayers enough, then it's better to read in place of that. I'll add another question. Is it better to read the prayers of the Great Assembly that we read, or the writings? They need to feel it themselves. Where is their hearts? Okay, another question that I received from the Russian speakers who live here in Israel. Is it better to read a text in Hebrew and to try and read the text in Hebrew, or is it okay to read the text in Russian? No, it's recommended to do it in Hebrew. Recommended to do it in Hebrew. If they repeat it daily, then ultimately Hebrew will be closer and easier. Another question from women in Israel. What do you recommend for them to read in parallel in their 10 in the end of the lesson? What is it recommended for them to read between them during their free time at the end of the lesson? There's women that participate the morning lesson. What is recommended for the women to read at the end of the lesson? There's tea that read like the men the prayers of the Great Assembly words, and there are other actions that others do. Do you recommend for them to also do in parallel? Read the same short prayer that we read. I can't say. I can say whatever is closest to their heart. I'll read from the article. He writes, one who feels more his smallness is more capable of giving forth a real prayer from the depth of the heart, because he knows that he's not capable through these states to be saved from the. So I want to ask about the state in the I see there's two approaches there. Like I said at the end of the lesson, they build a common prayer. They have some process where every friend expresses his prayer. They try to compose together a prayer that's common, to be impressed by it and to work with it throughout the day. There are that do it differently. They say a person needs to start alone in the work of the connection, otherwise the prayer is not real. And then from the lesson, from the article, or from the words of I, they take some kind of new form of connection that they heard, and they're deciding of a mission, not a prayer, but a mission from the lesson that we work on. And then, as a result of that, they say if the prayer breaks out from the heart, then we'll get there. And throughout the day they talk about that task there, that mission, but don't talk about prayer. So the question is, what's the correct approach? Because it stands that do this, and that's what's the correct approach. Maybe has to do with the with character. Each group has its own character. Then we shouldn't determine it for them, but leave it to how they think about it. Right, and those things I'm very indecisive and soft about it. We leave it up to them, but it's clear that we wish for them to determine clearly if to do it this way, that way, for themselves. More about the prayers of our friends overseas. There's also a question whether to read the Hebrew or to read the translation, because you can read the Hebrew or the transliteration of it, or should each read the translation in his language, or is it best for them to get to know the Hebrew? Both are important, but I would recommend to them it's better to read the Hebrew in a short period of time. They'll start to receive it, to have it, and things will be easier. Meaning, even if someone doesn't know Hebrew, but he should read the text in Hebrew, and they have the meaning in the translation there. Yes, the words repeat themselves. There's no problem there. I always remember when we read. Also, in the first few years, the reading of the prayer was very quick. Also, now we're reading it fast. Like in this straightforward thing there. Friends ask, why are you reading fast? Let us concentrate, be slowly in the matter, etc. What's the reasoning here? I also think they're right, but do you have time for that? I don't think so. I think that part by part you have to read. It should be clear to them what they are reading, and from that they'll come closer to the language as well. The question is about the pace of the reading, because we just like always, we used to run with it, not and there's those who say, why are we reading it so fast? Let's us slowly, we'll understand it, we'll absorb it. I don't know if going slowly will help, but you can try both ways. I can't say Can what's the importance of the prayer that we do at the end of the lesson, so it will be together in the end we will understand the meaning of the words, and we'll be able to get closer to the text that King David composed typically. Speaking simply, it's a group action, this action that we do. Yes, also today in the lesson you said it's mostly important to read the words and do them together. Yes, what does it mean to do this action together? Together is when everyone is thinking of the words, the combination of the words, and everyone is thinking of the same state to which the words can bring us. Okay, we need to do it simultaneously, all of us together. Well, it's recommended. I'm asking because to continue what Jill had raised, there's the matter beyond that when we're running fast, there's the matter of the friends begin, they take the they until they get to the point, there's who do it slowly, etc. Usually the other reader starts reading and he starts real fast with great love you, and when he gets the SHMA already half the hall is still arranging themselves. I'm already in the feeling that we're doing it for a week. I'm in the feeling that we're not together in their action. So the question is, how much do we have to do it to start together, or it's okay that the framework we're in, look, it can't be together. We don't have to try to be together in it completely, meaning can read it in each in his pace, and it's like we're starting together. Yeah, this is called the time that we in which we pray together, because there's fans that are also continuing afterwards a little bit. That's fine. So the general framework that we're in, that's what defines the togetherness here. Yes, about the prayer of the great assembly towards women when they wake up in the morning. Women that are not connected to L, they get up in the morning, they start there. They, even before they hear the recorded lesson, do they need to read the text as a text, or should they hear it as a recording? You can hear it there, a recording can. How can every such lesson become a prayer hour lesson right now, or the lesson inside the prayer hour lesson? And every meeting of ours, how do we turn every meeting of ours? You need to think of their goal, then you will feel what you're going through in the prayer. Is there something that we can do as far as our intention, how to come to such a meeting, to such a lesson, to hold on to such prayer, not just for ourselves but for others? Yes, you have to think about it, have to talk about it, and it will happen this way. We said can. Why does he write that the essence, the main of the part of the work is prayer? Seems like the prayer is actually some result. No, it's the work in the heart. Prayer means work in the heart. Whatever person wishes to attain with what he turns to the Creator, that is prayer. But it seems like most of the work is not necessarily in prayer, it's mostly in recognizing the state of persons in to exert and connection to perform all kinds of actions in order to reach the prayer. But the prayer is kind of like some a consequence. Why does he call it work? Why is it just simply the consequence of the work? That's how we call it. Move on to me, it's clear. What more? No good. Yeah, sometimes the Creator prepares him, a person, some recognition of evil in certain states. How does a person assure that the Creator is correcting his evil through his prayer? To what extent the prayer corrects him. In short, yes, the Creator put him in state. A person turns to the Creator. Prayer cries out. There's a matter here of how is he assuring himself that this truly is being corrected, that the Creator is correcting. It should ask the Creator. Yeah, this has to be very clear. There are fundamental things in relation to others, things like being joyous for certain moments, and things that he doesn't correct, or it takes him like 20 years to correct something. Why is it so? Why doesn't you just correct it? And that's it. Turned to him. I'm turning, but well, I'll say something else. Recognizes the evil to a person. He discloses that to a person. Then a person kind of abstains from the evil. It's not a correction. The evil remains. What's that? So what's the prayer for? Alto, the prayer is the correction. There's no correction. Here he disclosed the evil to a person. A person abstains from the evil, abstains from it, but he doesn't correct it. The evil remains. He still has Joy certain things he has. Corrupted attitude towards others, so you abstain from it. It could be correction. After all, I don't know, but you're the one with the experience. Will it correct or not? If a person thinks about it and goes through it, sign will be corrected. So, last question, what is the prayer? Actually, prayer is a request from a person toward the Creator. We see that raising the deficiencies to the Creator is prayer, and in parallel to complete the friends. I'm hearing a lot you're using the words to complete the friends. Isn't completing something that the Creator gives a person, something that he has the ability to do something with? The T. Okay, could be also meaning that until he receives something that he can complete the friends, he needs to search for what the right deficiency is to turn to the Creator with its recommended how. I don't know how to find the common lack in the 10. We need to be connected to one another as much as possible to be connected to another above our own ego. That is the main thing. If we check ourselves, if we wish to feel ourselves there above our ego, then that's what we'll see in the eyes of the Creator, and he will already do all kinds of special actions with us. Many of the friends have expectations from all that is happening right now. There is certain fundamentals that should be clear to a person towards what he's nullifying in the 10, because if each follows his heart, it differentiates between us in a certain way. So what exactly does the 10 need to take upon itself? This will take a long time. It's still ahead of us. Before your impressions from the group, everything we go through begin to fit, so that the contradiction, the conflict that awakens in you toward the friends or relative to their friends, these are oppositions. These contradictions are good. They're beneficial, since anything that is found in each one of us comes from the Creator, and everything that contradicts in each of us, the friend, etc., that too comes from the Creator. See how the Creator in single action awakens all forms of contradictions and all of it, so we'd be able to better understand him, all of its possibilities. So let's advance, and then we'll see what will be of us. When one prays to the Creator, he feels that the Creator led him to that prayer, and he feels how to approach this situation so that one can maintain a full feeling of prayer. I didn't quite understand. Can anyone repeat it? A person led a person to the prayer, and he's in the prayer. How to maintain that feeling of that complete feeling of prayer? Will ask again. When a person prays, he feels like the Creator led him to that prayer, and he feels like he's disconnected from the prayer because the Creator brought him there. So the friend is asking how to approach this state, and so that I will be able to keep the complete feeling of prayer, where it says I have exerted and I'm praying. How, after feeling that it's the Creator who brought me to the prayer, how can I accept the prayer as influence from the Creator, from the upper force that he brought me? If the Creator brings me to the P, how do I how to continue in the effort of the prayer? Because he feels that the Creator let him there, he's in rest, and the Creator brought into that, so he's asking how to continue in the efforts that I'm praying with my efforts. What would you tell him first? The question is whether he's talking about the prayer, the written prayer, and if so, to just deepen more into what's written there, to enter and try to enter inwards, and if it's the prayer of their friends, and to deepen into what the friend is trying to say constantly. Deepen into what's not in my mind, in my intellect. Okay, that's an answer. You have something else. Good morning. It's to give back. For example, one of the prayers I have is that give me the fear to succeed and take it back, so I don't waste time, my life's. Okay, that's it. No more questions. Good morning. Can I ask the reader to read the part where the main work is prayer? It's in the article 3rd paragraph in that page. That's thing I wanted to. And it starts with the paragraph says, and the essence of the work is prayer. Made article somewhere, and the essence of the work is prayer, since only by prayer can one exit the public domain and enter the domain of the single one. This is so because when it comes to Prayer great and small are equal. Moreover, one who feels one's lowness can offer a more genuine prayer from the bottom of their heart, for he knows about himself that he cannot deliver himself from the strait on his own. Then he can say that actually those who were created with special talents and qualities of subtlety can do something on their own, whereas those with the special gifts and good qualities need heaven's mercy. Thus only this person can offer an honest prayer. Yes, thank you, meaning in the end we have to reach this genuine prayer that comes from the bottom of the heart. With all the actions that we do in the tent, with all our different things, we just have to ask for the mercy from heaven all the time. Yes, is that what we have to walk around within our heart all day long? Yes, just to ask for mercy from the heaven. On that it's written, may he pray all day long. I remember you once told us that when with Rush the preparation was very long, meaning before the prayer there's this time of silence, etc. And first of all, how important is it for there to be such a preparation or something that's similar before the prayer? And the second thing is, what can we learn from that for our actions, for our prayers? I don't know. Rash typically behaved with us according to the book. By the book we came to pray, we made some blessing before the prayer, blessings before thing, and then a prayer, and all the way simply or shots the reader or the shots the public messenger was conducting the prayer, and we repeat it in some places, and that's it. It was extremely simple. There were people who would pray for half an hour. There were people who would finish the prayer in 20 minutes, even 15 minutes. He didn't speak about it. He didn't say it should be this way or that way. Rather, the main thing was the participation of everyone. That's it. Therefore, I also don't think that right now his students everywhere who are praying also should also be doing the same. Can explain to us after so many years that we didn't perform this action of prayer in the morning, what happened now that suddenly we are beginning to pray? If you could explain where that stems from my desire that it the new lot of also something that's written here in the text. He says in the third paragraph, I brought the language of the scripture so you understand that love of friends is not something that a matter of the group of friends of Hasidism. Rather, it is the teaching of our sages who saw how necessary it was the uniting of the hearts into a single group for the reception of the faith of divinity. If we can explain what it is to unite the hearts in order to receive the face of the know, we learn about this everywhere. If we manage to connect by that, we construct the vessel called that is still an exile from us, and we bring it into revelation. The principle is clear. We talk about it, but what is this matter of the unification of the hearts, connection of the hearts? That is what does it need to be is one man with one man in one heart. All these words are familiar to us, but what we need is nevertheless to insert them deeper into our hearts. This brings to the reception of the face of the which is, yes, which is where the Creator is. Revealed divinity is our mutual CLE, where the dweller is revealed the Creator, and we connect to this common vessel through the grouping of our hearts. Yes. Okay, you're looking at me as if each one has a Shom. Hello dear friends. A question about the prayer. When you told us that we're beginning to pray, everyone was excited in the whole CLE, and then we were told kind of like that we're doing it only here. There won't be a broadcast, there won't be anything, and it kind of feels a little bit kind of like faction. There's the English speakers that have their own, the Turkish speakers have their own thing, the Russian speakers, from what I understand, don't have anything altogether, and there's this opportunity that was felt like something that could stem from a very powerful prayer that reaches, that stems from here, and the whole friends in the world can have an opportunity to connect to and to join this prayer in one way or another that was taken from us. We have people who are responsible for this prayer, like who else? No, there are a few people like that, so you have to turn to them and ask What it's about, what's the reason correct yesterday after the lesson they told us that you're the responsible person and we're following you, and that's how the decision was made. That was taken from that. I can't be the responsible for what's happening each day according to the clock, 'cause my state is deteriorating. Who knows how long I'll be able to function and consistently. Clearly so, is there something that prevents us from being able to do such a together? Maybe we need a certain preparation, certain materials. Talk about it, and Fess, I sighed as much as I understand the problem. Okay, thank you. Just to be precise about what we said is that we consult you, and of course we take responsibility and we lead, and is not on you but yes a question that repeats itself all the time between the words and also in an implied way. Why shouldn't we broadcast the prayer that's happening here amongst the men to the whole world, clearly so that they will all be able to watch and see? Think it's worthy, is it correct, or is it intimate, and it shouldn't be open up to broadcast? I don't know. I don't know. You know the word CLE today, and you know better than me what you're about to broadcast. I don't know. We have to try, but surely not everyone feel comfortable hearing the entire prayer in Hebrew from beginning to end. I don't know. The recommendation of the friends after we rejected is that it's not worthy. It's not as far as the image, also different traditions and customs. It's not suitable. It also might confuse many people who don't know it. We have different religions, different perceptions, and that's after consulting all the factions about it. Okay, all the factors. I can also feel that it's very difficult for us to do a scrutiny as a society. It's like now we're talking through with one another, which kind of makes the conversation difficult. We don't have a platform, we don't have a special time where we can sit like a society, like men, and to talk openly. I see even in the 10 how difficult it is, and there are all kinds of frames that kind of prevent us to come to that discussion. And I'm turning not to you, yes, but to everyone, that we should think how we can open this discussion, because I'm certain that for every problem we can find a solution. If we don't broadcast it, maybe we can do a Zoom to all those who are interested. We can do all kinds of we can open it really in a way that we also prepare our friends who are maybe they don't know it as well in different FR works, what prayer is, what AL is, what F are, why we wrap them around us, etc. You also did many meetings about this, actually, that we can bring from the archive. I guess I don't remember. Okay, so did you create some sort of a summary from all these things? First of all, you have to find out if people are interested, and then accordingly maybe have a lesson every once in a while about the interpretation of the prayer, about all those things. Although I don't feel it, you have to uncover the need. Okay, what do you think? To a lesson about scrutinizing the prayer? Sure, let's do it if we need it. Yes, let's do it if it's it. Prepare it so you know what's inside the prayer, why is written this way, not a different way. When do we change the regular prayer according to certain days and holidays? You can explain it quite simply and shortly. More questions? I have another question. There's friends who are really drawn to this prayer, to this whole alkali externality in a certain way. There are those who are, on the contrary, they're really repulsed by it. There's in the middle, that's okay, they don't care this way or that way. What the recommendation or your guidance to those who are really drawn to all the ceremonial thing of it, and those who are rejected by it? You need to organize the ritual part of it so it will be a correct envelope for the prayer, and then you won't have strong feelings in either direction. This ritual should simply protect the prayer. After all, prayers were composed by the people of the Great Assembly. They decided that it should be this way and not any other way, and we need to try and tie ourselves to them. A few moments ago you said that your health is deteriorating and you don't know how long you'll be able to be with us. I'm certain that maybe in the whole world there's at least 10 very good doctors that can sustain you till 120. And Beyond okay, we can talk about it later. It's not for the lesson, thank you. I can lot no questions. Here's something small in the prayer. There's a text that each of us reads. For himself, I during this week didn't manage to finish the text whenever they said the prayer is over, and I was left with the part that's unfinished. Should I finish the text and then connect to the summary of the text? No, it doesn't matter, so as long as we do it together. Okay, do it together. Also about that, let's ask someone who didn't grow up with that. I feel like the matter of the pace is very important. Even the difference between 4 minutes and 6 minutes makes a big difference as far as the ability to, and also the question rises about how to make it into a common experience, because if it's silence and he just with himself, it's hard to feel it, and it's also happening while you're organizing yourself. It feels very hastened like that. Rushed. This is a matter of time. Habit. It will work itself out. I don't know if it's worthwhile, for there are parts that we should really read together and understand. It's yes, that depends on how they arrange the prayer for you. In each and every prayer there are such verses, such parts that it's recommended to read it together, so will help us synchronize. And okay, yes, there's a group here that devote its life to manage this place and work with you, with your blessing and coordination with you. And lately there's more and more of a feeling that there are many opinions, and we're not certain that what they're saying is correct, and many different things that come out of that. It's in my eyes, it's a great flaw that could happen here, and I think we need to strengthen these people who are doing this work for us all. And if someone is really burning, can ask to join those things, but each time there's this proc where people are trying to bring up these things, and we have to, in my eyes, we have to be very cautious about it, because if these are happening while you're here, I don't too think what will happen later. This is true, I agree with it 100%. So there's a general opinion. Who are the people who decide on the order of things? Do you mean the groupie acre, mushy acre? Whoever is managing these things are doing it for years, and their whole life is around this, meaning I come here a little to the lesson here and there. What do I even have to say to even argue about these things? I should just say thank you. That's how, at least how I feel. I understand you, I agree with you. Okay, we already talked. If there's a dispute or something unclear, theirs is the head of the organization. He decides in the end. He knows how to do this in his he's very in a measured way. He's very experienced. It's not opinions. Someone needs to make a decision in the end, and that's what we said. She's the one that makes that final decision. I'll add that if the decision came up that we're not broadcasting, believe me, believe us, we made a scrutiny. It's not like it's someone feels it after 30 years. Also, I want everyone to be here in connection, and if a decision was made, I can't say this in the broadcast, and I also can't say it to that same person, because there's things that we don't say. Just simply, there are things that you have to trust us, and that's it. Okay, I agree with his opinion 100%. More questions? No. Pray so, dear friends. A minute before that, you are invited to a World Unity evening on Sunday, June 30th at the Centre. It will be broadcasted on system, and a link for registration will be sent to everyone. Our schedule for today, Sunday, please listen. We're going to move to our prayer in a second. Everyone's excited. Slowly 11 facing the future at noon. The afternoon lesson recorded at 5:30. Reading this test at 6:30. Building a spiritual society at 7:30. So reading we'll conclude. Thank you, everyone. Are you going to the prayer? Are you going to the prayer? No, we know, yeah, and I totally agree with this decision. I agree with this decision because it's better they can focus more, and in Israel they do this. The men are in a room and you have a women. Wow, she doesn't hear me. I'm going to the link is in the chat. Okay, I'll see you in a prayer. Great friends, we're going to continue with our cameras off together, and tomorrow the men and women will be separate like they explained Tonight hear Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord is one, blessed is his name, his glorious kingdom is forever and ever, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your possessions, and these words which I command you today shall be upon your heart, and you shall teach them sharply to your children, and you shall discuss them when you sit in your house, and when you travel on the road, and when you lie down, and when you rise, and you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for twos between your eyes, and you shall write them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gateways, and it will be if you vigilantly obey my commandments, which I command you this day, to love the Lord your God, and serve him with your entire hearts and with your entire souls, that I will give rain for your land in its proper time, the early autumn rain and the late spring rain, and you will harvest your grain and your wine and your oil, and I will put grass in your fields for your cattle, and you will eat and be satisfied. Beware lest your hearts be swayed, and you turn astray, and you worship alien gods and bow to them, and the Lord's fury will blaze among you, and he will close off the heavens, and there will be no rain, and the earth will not yield its produce, and he will perish swiftly from the good land which the Lord gives you. Place these words of mine upon your hearts and upon your souls, and bind them for a sign upon your hands, and they shall be for twos between your eyes, and you shall teach them to your sons to speak them when you sit in your house, and when you travel on the road, and when you lie down, and when you rise, and you shall write them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gateways, in order that your days be prolonged, and the days of your children upon the land which the Lord swore to your fathers to give them, for as long as the heavens are above the earth. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and tell them to make for themselves fringes on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and they will place with their fringes of each corner a thread of blue, and it will be to you for fringes, and you will look upon it, and you will remember all the commandments of the Lord, and you will perform them, and you will not turn aside after your hearts and after your eyes, which cause you to go astray, in order that you will remember and perform all my commandments, and you will be holy unto your God. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God is to your Lord. Open my lips, and my mouth will declare your praise. Blessed are you, the Lord our God, and God of our fathers, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, the Almighty, the great, the powerful, the awesome, most high, Almighty, who bestows beneficent kindness, who possesses everything, who remembers the piety of the patriarchs, and who brings a redeemer to their children's children for the sake of his name, with love, King, helper, and deliverer, and shield. Blessed are you, the Lord, shield of Abraham, you are mighty forever, my master. You are the resurrector of the dead, the powerful one to deliver us. In the summer he brings down dew, in the winter causes the wind to blow, and the rain to fall. Sustainer of the living with kindliness, resurrector of the dead with great mercy, supporter of the fallen, and healer of the sick, and releaser of the imprisoned, and fulfiller of his faithfulness to those who sleep in the dust. Who is like you, master of mighty deeds, and who can be compared to you? King, who causes death and restores life, and causes deliverance to sprout forth, and you are faithful to restore the dead to life. Blessed are you, the Lord, resurrector of the dead. We will hallow and revere you as with the sweet words of the company of the holy seraphim, who thrice repeat, Holy unto you, as is written by the hand of your prophet. And they called one to another, and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. Fullness of all the earth is his glory. Those facing them say, Utsbar. Blessed is the glory of the Lord from its place, and in your holy words it is written, The Lord will reign forever, your God Zion, throughout all generations. Praise God, you are holy, and your name is holy, and holy beings praise you every day, forever, for a great and almighty King. Great and holy are you, blessed are you, the Lord, the Almighty, the Holy One. You favor man with perception, and teach mankind understanding. Grant us from your wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, Blessed are you, the Lord, granter of perception, cause us to return, our Father, to your Torah, and bring us near, our King, to your service, and bring us back in wholehearted repentance before you. Blessed are you, the Lord, who desires penitent. Pardon us, our Father, for we have sinned. Forgive us, our King, for we have transgressed, for you are good and forgiving. Almighty, blessed are you, the Lord, gracious one, who pardons abundantly. Look, please, upon our affliction, and defend our cause, and redeem us speedily with complete redemption for the sake of your name, because you are a mighty Redeemer. Blessed are you, the Lord, Redeemer of Israel. Heal us, the Lord, and we will be healed. Deliver us, and we will be delivered, for you are our praise. Grant a cure and healing to all our sickness, and to all our pain, and to all our affliction, because you are the Almighty King, who is a faithful and merciful healer. Blessed are you, the Lord, healer of the sick of his people Israel. Bless for us the Lord our God this year, and all the varieties of its produce for good, and bestow in the summer blessing, in the winter dew and rain for a blessing. Upon the face of the earth satisfy us from your bounty, for you are generous, Almighty, who bestows goodness and blesses the years. Blessed are you, the Lord, blesser of the years. Sound the great char for our liberty, and raise a banner to gather our exiles, and gather us together quickly from the four corners of the earth into our land. Blessed are you, the Lord, gatherer of the dispersed of his people Israel. Restore our judges as before, and our counselors as at first. Remove from us sorrow and sighing, and reign over us quickly, ye the Lord alone, with kindness and compassion, and make us righteous with righteousness and justice. Blessed are you, the Lord King, lover of righteousness and justice. For informers let there be no hope, and may all wickedness instantly perish. May all your enemies be swiftly cut off, and the insolent may you quickly uproot. Crush, root disgrace, and humbled, and subdue speedily in our days. Blessed are you, the Lord, see each cresser of enemies, and subduer of their insolent, upon the righteous, upon the pious, upon the elders of your people, the house of Israel, upon the remnant of their scholars, upon the true prelate, and upon us may your mercy be aroused. The Lord our God grant bountiful reward to all who trust in your name in truth, and place our lot among them, and may we never be put to shame, for in you we have put our trust. Blessed are you, the Lord, support and trust of the righteous, and to Jerusalem your city return in mercy, and dwell there as you have spoken, and rebuild it soon in our days as an everlasting structure, and the throne of David your servant may you speedily establish therein. Blessed are you, the Lord, builder of Jerusalem, the sprout of David your serve, speedily caused to flourish and exalt his power with your deliverance. For your deliverance we hope all day, and watch for your deliverance. Blessed are you, the Lord, who causes to sprout the power of salvation. Merciful Father, hear our voice. The Lord our God spare us, and have compassion on us, and accept our prayers compassionately and willingly. For you are Almighty, who hears prayers and supplications, and from your presence, our King, do not turn us away empty-handed. Be gracious and answer us, and hear our prayer, for you hear the prayers of every mouth of your people Israel with compassion. Blessed are you, the Lord, who hears prayers. Be pleased, the Lord our God, with your people Israel, and pay need to their prayer, and restore the service to the Holy of Holies in your abode, and the fire offerings of Israel, and accept their prayer lovingly and willingly, and may you always find pleasure with their service of your people Israel, and may our eyes behold your merciful return to Zion. Blessed are you, the Lord, who returns his divine presence to Zion. We are thankful to you that you, the Lord our God, and the God of our fathers, forever rock of our lives, the shield of our deliverance, you are in every generation. We will give thanks to you, and recount your praise for our lives which are committed into your hand, and for our souls which are entrusted to you, and for your miracles of every day with us, and for your wonders and benefactions at all times. Evening, morning, and noon you are the beneficent one, for your compassion is never withheld, and you are the merciful one, for your kindness never ceases, for we have always placed our hope in you, and for all the foregoing blessed, exalted, and extolled your name, our King constantly forever and ever, and all the living shall thank you forever and praise and bless your great name with sincerity forever, for your goodness, the Almighty, who is our deliverance and our help forever. The benevolent Almighty, blessed are you. The Lord the Beneficent is your name, and you fit it at name, and you it is fitting to praise our God and our God of our fathers. Bless us with the threefold blessing of the Torah, written by the hand of Moses, your servant, pronounced from the mouth of Aaron and his sons the Kohanim, your holy people, as it is said, may the Lord bless you and go guard you. May the Lord shine his countenance upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord turn his countenance toward you and grant you peace, grant peace, goodness, and blessing, life, favor, kindness, and compassion upon us and upon all Israel your people. Bless us, our Father, all of us, as one with the light of your countenance, for by the light of your countenance you gave us, Lord our God, a Torah of life, and the love of kindliness, righteousness, blessing, compassion, life, and peace. And may it be good in your sight to bless us, and to bless your people Israel at all times and at every moment with your peace, with much strength and peace. Blessed are you, the Lord, who blesses his people Israel with peace. Amen. 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 Amen.